Okay, hopefully you can hear me. It's going, it's recording. I'm really hoping that it's less, less wonky sounding than it was in the last video. It was a little bit rough, or I feel like it was rough. It was like missing a side. So hopefully it's not doing that today. If it is, I'm probably not going to re-record this. So hopefully it's the best. This is Lián, by the way. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you again. If you saw our last video, I hope you guys are doing better. Hopefully you are okay and somewhat recovered from that. It was a heavy topic. But today we're going to be talking about a serious, equally serious, I suppose, topic, but more on the sense of a personal system level. This one is going to be about system children and how our system handles their safety and the way that they interact with the world around them. So without further ado, we're going to get into it, and yeah, stay tuned. One of the primary things about dissociative identity disorder, or any dissociative disorder really, is that the trauma that forms the disorder happens in childhood. The theory of structural dissociation says that between the ages of 6 and 8, a child's mind is still split into dissociative parts, so fragmented kind of, and only when they age up in 8 or 9 do those barriers come together. If a bunch of trauma happens before that trauma, before those barriers come down, if there's a bunch of trauma before that, then those dissociative barriers become the habit and become the reason and the how to exist, as opposed to a tool to help them cope. Depending on the nature of the trauma that occurred, those barriers can remain wavering, like with SDD or CPTSD, and sometimes BPD, or they can solidify into fully realized parts or alters, which is what DID is, dissociative identity disorder. These parts, in all cases, stem from trauma or some form of dissociation. This does not include instances of multiplicity or plurality that stem from cultural, religious, or spiritual beliefs. Multiplicity from that aspect can be discussed in a later video, but it is not the focus for today. A key thing to remember is that parts form to cope with something external happening. Therefore, their formation and their function are inextricably linked, regardless of whether the memories connecting those two things are accessible or not. This applies to any child part in the system, and technically any alter in the system, even though that's a little bit more nuanced and probably needs more extrapolation than where we are right now. Children will form traumatized parts and then continue growing into adults with or without awareness of those parts. Several things can happen in these cases. The child can remain time-locked in their trauma memories, thus remaining the same age and possibly cognition as the time that the trauma occurred. The child part can experience aspects of life naturally and age up with the body, and then become a teen or an adult that is discovered when the rest of the system discovers the system. Or the child part might remain completely untouched and unperturbed by the trauma as sort of a preservation of the innocence of the original child. Anyway, now I'm gonna switch it over to River, who can explain kids stuff much better than I can. So she's gonna film at some point and we'll be back. G'day, it's River. I'm a caretaker in a system divided to the littles and the youngest, and if I'm being honest, a bit of a clown in their eyes. Though, I'd rather be a clown than the jungle gym that Border is. So they run the poor man ragged. It feels like he's done a couple of rounds after they're done with him. I feel so bad for him. But he's got a good spirit about it, so he gets the prize for being a good sport, My job is to keep him happy, distracted, and otherwise away from things that could cause them harm regarding triggers and physical safety. Cognitively, the kids do understand that we are an adult body. However, there are a few kids that are not okay with it, thinking of adult functions such as the time of the month, so they tend to hide during those times. It can be a bit of a bitch to get the children to enjoy themselves in their body, because Renee or Lián would have to completely let go of control, and they can't do that without feeling uncomfortable. It's something we're working on in therapy. But getting the kiddos to play in the real world helps them understand they're safe and that everything is okay, and it's difficult for them. Intimacy is something that Tristan can explain a little bit better, because he's a bit more understanding of intimacy, my relationship with Viking is platonic. I'm lesbian, so I don't seek that sort of thing from him, so I don't have much on the opinion of intimacy because it's not something that I seek from my partner. But I digress. When it comes to keeping the kiddos distracted, it usually means that I'm scooping them from the front or from the front area and then popping to the back of their headspace to soothe them, whether they're distressed or for fear, triggers, whatever it might be. Maybe they came too close to something uncomfortable. Maybe they were nearby. There was an incident where they discovered that we did in fact eat bulk chickens, and I had to give them a bit of an explanation about how that works. And I'm vegetarian, so it was a bit easier for me to kind of explain it in a way that made it less traumatizing for them. So I am a soother. I make sure that they're all right, and it's what I do. And I've gone off topic a bit. One of the roles that I also do inside the system with the kiddos is I will teach them what the adult is doing in the body without bothering the adult. So say Lián or Renee are doing something like sticker crafts or paper craft. I can go up to the front with the kiddos and have them listen to me explain what's going on without having to bother either of the hosts, co-hosts for what they're doing, because there's already squirrels up in the brain and we don't want to make it worse. Now, speaking on things that are a bit uncomfortable or otherwise, I want to chuck the phone over to Tristan because he can explain the adult nature of things. For better, Tristan's got this. River out. Yo, it's Tristan. That's Drystan. Tristan, not Tristan. The amount of times I've been called Tristan, it's ridiculous. So, kids call me Uncle G. My name is Tristan. It makes it easier for the kids, I guess. I've been watching out for them for the last, how old am I now? 120. About 3 years now. It's been my steady job. Let me explain, I'm going to explain bits about the system that's a bit more difficult for the girls to kind of touch on. But I've been the caretaker forever for the kids. I always have been until we fired Cass, and then I became the system entire caretaker. The kids like to call me a system dad, but I feel kind of weird about that because I was 19 when I started this job, and now I'm 22, so it just feels weird being called dad. I leave that to the two girls, the two hosts. They can be mom, it's fine. But anyway, I watch the kids. There's anywhere between 8 and 9-ish of them at any given point. One is an age slider, so they are the or 9 in this sense. It's essentially what you would think, keeping them safe, teaching them about life, make sure they don't kill themselves or others, make sure they stay safe. I think I said that already. I tend to volunteer myself to be a walking jungle gym and being a mediator in a court of toddlers, and, make sure that things that stab, burn, or poison don't get to them and that they're alive and happy. I'm also the first person in the system that they ask stuff out of, or if they show something to. Parents out there, you'll understand what it means. Hey, come look at the drawing I drew. Hey, Tristan, look at this thing that I built. Hey, Tristan, can we go play? Hey, Tristan, can we have this treat? It's very cute, but it's hard to explain to a 4-year-old why they can't eat a whole bag of peppermints after we've gone to bed, etc., 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 et al. But despite the bedlam that these kids have, they're so cute. They are the most precious to us in the system, and any one of the adults would do what it took to make them happy and stay safe. This has to be balanced with the understanding that though they are children in cognition, they are in an adult body, and an adult body may want to do adult things. This situation is something a lot of adult system bodies will probably encounter at some point, and I wanted to give insight on how we personally manage these encounters. Trigger warning for talk of adult intimate encounters, all PG, but still. Let me also disclaim, though I really shouldn't need to, the following information is derived from our own personal experiences only and is no way meant to stand as a paragon for intimacy or a relationship with DID in it. We figured it out for us. Everyone is different. Everyone heals different. please suspend your judgment or just carry on, click away. Now that we have the people who understand nuance here, let's talk about it. We have a set of solid ground rules that are unshakable and unwavering. Initiating comes solely from us, the traumatized party. This does include the flirting, the jokes, and the teasing as well, because some parties are receptive while others are just not. And usually Viking can tell who's out, but not always, not every time. He and Lián, for instance, are grossly flirty, and Renee is even like, oh, please, no, please get away from me. But if it's just Lián, dirty jokes and flirting all day long. Once initiations occurred, consent is implicit but can be withdrawn at any time. Meaning they can start doing something and then Renee switches in and doesn't want to anymore. Immediately, all conversation shifts moods, everything stops. This was a lot of fighting and meltdowns between system members and Viking, but communication was something we were trying to build in general. We were trying to build communication with our husband, and we were trying to build communication within. This was a hard lesson to learn. 3, if consent is withdrawn, all actions cease. If consent is withdrawn, period, we stop, period, full stop, no matter what. After the body is settled, if we were triggered, which is usually the case, we'll come back and talk about what happened and kind of work through it. If a child approaches, we have a couple of different ways to handle it. Several kids in our system have, with the blessings and encouragement of our therapist, experienced intimate events. They are always accompanied by Renee or Lián, both of whom are highly romantically involved with Viking. And these events often become educational in the sense that it helps them understand what proper and respectful treatment is from someone who is committed to them and loves them and respects them is. It helps them feel in control when the trauma didn't give them a chance to ever be in control, being in control of whatever happened. And once they're in control, they can start healing from the things that should never have happened in the first place. Because they also have an adult that they trust with them. They know they can tap out, leave the front, or stop immediately if discomfort occurs. It is healing in a lot of ways, regardless of how much they choose to participate or not. So, yeah, that's the thing. That's how we do adult stuff. Take it or leave it, it's fine. Do whatever you want with the information, but we work with our therapist and our partner to navigate life and healing, and what works for us might not work for other people. So just please take that with a grain of salt. All right, I'm gonna yeet it back over to Renee or Lián, whoever's next. Bye. Hello. So the camera died as I was filming the outro. Well, it wasn't even the outro. Originally, it's Lián, but if that wasn't. Anyway, it died while I was filming the outro, and then I realized the last part of the video that I filmed is like another 8-10 minutes is left, and I'm already at the 13-minute mark for this video, and I don't want to make people fall asleep. So we're going to be done with the video here. This was about children in the system and how we handle intimacy. If you have questions, feel free to leave them. We won't be offended when we open the can of worms, so we are willing to talk about it. The full disclaimer is, every system is different. Every therapist is going to work with you differently. Every system is going to need different things to heal. So we are not the be-all, end-all for healing. No one system is. Please, when you watch other systems online, keep that in mind, that every system is going to choose different paths to heal. Certain things are going to work for some that don't work for others. Certain therapies will work for some that don't work for others, medication, etc. Take it with a grain of salt. These are people sharing their lives. I'm just sharing our life. We just are sharing life. We're not telling you to do one thing over another. We're telling you what worked for us. So, all that being said, I hope you have a wonderful day. I will see you in the next video, and stay safe. Love you. Bye.